Hi, I'm Josh Wood from CoreOS. Today we're going to take a look at acquiring authentication assets to connect command line clients, especially kubectl, to Tectonic Clusters running Tectonic ID for authentication against common enterprise authentication backends like LDAP, SAML, and others. What this means is that you need a little bit more than just the standard client certificate to properly connect with command line tools instead of the Tectonic console. But don't worry, console gives you everything you need and allows you to download a certificate to authenticate your command line tools against the cluster. And we're going to take a look at how to do that. Now we're looking at the first page, the landing page of Tectonic console. Gives us an overview of cluster status, and as we'll take a look at in later episodes in this series, many ways to control, manage, and observe the work running on our cluster. What we want to focus on today is grabbing a kubectl file that contains the connection configuration info as well as the client certificate that we need to authenticate the kubectl command line utility against our Tectonic cluster. Now I'm already logged into Tectonic, and that's why we're looking at the console. And under my username for admin, I can actually take a look at my account. And that's where configurations for kubectl kubeconfigs are actually stored. By verifying my identity again, I can download a kubectl configuration to use with my machine and kubectl running there. So I'll go ahead and re-enter my username and password to get a one-time token to pass through the ID authentication system to gain access to the credentials I need to connect my command line client to the cluster. So I just provide the one-time code back to the configuration generator, and I can download a kubectl config to somewhere on my local machine. Now, kubectl is of course the common command line tool for managing Kubernetes clusters away from graphical conveniences like the Tectonic console, and it needs an authentication token, usually in the form of a client certificate, to authenticate to the cluster you want to connect to. The kubectl configuration file, or kubeconfig we just downloaded, actually provides that information. So I can look in my downloads folder for the file that we just downloaded, and I can actually point kubeconfig or kubectl to use this configuration in a few different ways. Among the easiest is actually to export an environment variable called kubeconfig that points at the file path, in this case the downloads kubecontrol config file that we downloaded from the cluster. Now once I've done that, kubectl has all of the authentication resources it needs to connect to our example cluster. I can actually show that by getting a list of deployments running on our cluster. You can specify multiple kubeconfig files for connecting to different clusters, either by changing this environment variable or by using the kubectl kubeconfig command line option to set the path of a kubectl file for a different cluster, for instance. And last but not least, there is in your home directory, once you've run kubectl, a .kube directory, and we can show that here. The config contained beneath a user's .kube directory is the default kubeconfig that kubectl will use if no other selection has been made through the environment variable or the command line option. So running kubectl get ingress, for instance, without any other specification, uses the default cluster configuration I have stored beneath home.kube config. Thank you.